I think a lot of Web3 companies are actually trying to achieve this. You know that a lot of exchanges have their own venture arm. I think Tether has a really big venture arm, investing into a lot of projects that probably not a lot of people know about. But still, there's like a big funnel of either Web2 founders or Web3 founders coming into the space. And I see a lot of cases where a Web2 founder comes in, builds great tech, but then gets killed by either wrong tokenomics or a wrong partner or unethical market makers or whatever you can name all of it. Um, if a founder comes to you, what's the first piece of advice that you're giving to those founders talking to you, asking for help or an investment?
So, boy, I talk a lot, so I give people a lot of advice. Hopefully some of it's helpful. Um, I think I try to. So first, starting with us, we're a particular kind of investor because we're what you would typically call a corporate VC, meaning we invest off our balance sheet. So we invest in businesses that are strategic for us, as opposed to just investing like a VC firm solely for financial return. Um, so we try to invest in businesses where we can partner with them, or we can, provide them with work or knowledge or, support on whatever tokenomics or market making or something that we can help improve their outcome. So if there's a role for us to play, then we think there's also a potential for us to be an investor too. Um, and so from that perspective, I think I try to advise. Um, Let me start with game companies, actually, because that's an easy one, and we're talking a lot about games. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I think the thing that I always say to game developers is to really think about, especially the ones that are coming from Web 2, that you have to divorce yourself from so much of the thinking of what you knew about making games in Web 2 when you think about embracing the new platform and the new medium. So, for example, most game developers coming to Web3 will think about, oh, I can tokenize my game content now and make NFTs with them, and then I can make a marketplace and people can trade their NFTs. But they're still thinking of the game environment and the world as being the sum of all that they create. They're not thinking about, okay, so what's going to happen? How am I going to encourage other game developers to make games that support the IP I'm creating, right? Because from a Web 2 game developer standpoint, they only see that as, oh, I'm going to lose customers because they're going to go over there to the other game, right? Not, I'm going to sell somebody something for 100 euros and then they will bring it over there, and I'm fine with that because they spent 100 euros. You know what I mean? And I will get creator royalties if they sell it again. So how do you embrace that new medium and think about how my assets are going to interoperate with other people's assets, how I can leverage other people's assets? So maybe I'm making a game and user acquisition is hard. So the first thing that I should do is I should have special opportunities for other communities, people who have assets from off the grid, or other, or Bored Ape Yacht Club, or you name it, people who are in the community in Web3 already, and make those assets welcome in my game. Perfect example of that would be Pixels, which is one of our portfolio
Mm-hmm.
companies. You can bring any NFT into Pixels and use it as your avatar. It's a very simple hook, but very effective because it allows people to self-express in the game, and it leverages that unique ability of Web3 to be able to have that kind of interoperable content.
Mm-hmm. Ah, that's an interesting one. Um, Aside from that, if you have a founder or like you probably see thousands of projects being pitched, or perhaps at this point you have a team, so that's not
Hmm.
anymore the job. But being in the space for so long,
Hmm.
how can a founder excite you? Like, what is the spark that you're looking for if you're investing into a project?
I think so. I'm very lucky because I have a I have a cool job. I get to meet founders pitching me crazy new ideas all the time. And for me and my personality, I love that because I love new stuff, right? So I'm very lucky in that standpoint. I think I see a lot of things that amaze me because there's so many smart people out there with smart ideas. But I think with my kind of disciplined investor hat on, the number one thing I look for is traction. Meaning I I'm always excited by the potential, but I think at least for where we sit as an investor, we like to see at least that, your some semblance of your customers really like it too. And and
Hmm.
and that and that we can see a hint that really what you need is you found, 5,000 people who love this thing, and what you really need is a little bit of help and a little bit of money to find another 20,000 to add on top of that, or 50,000 to add on top of that. But that it's proven that there's a bunch of people who really like this, so therefore other people are going to like it too.
Hmm. That's true. I think if I look at projects that I see, it's just probably the founder, his vision and the way he talks about it, making it simple is probably first step when I really get attracted to a project. Aside from like anything else, if a founder is not like completely locked in, then there's no purpose at all.
Yes.
Uh, and then the secondary factors come in of the other backing, the tokenomics and all those things. But first, it's probably just the founder. But now we have, which is a popular topic, we have AI.
Mhm.
How long will it take until we get the first AI project being built by AI? Or let's say more than 50% being produced by AI.
So how do you know you haven't seen one yet?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's actually, I mean, on Twitter, you see those videos of stuff that's being created by AI, and I'm like, oof, that's really good.
Yes. So I guess the thing about AI that continues to amaze me is the pace of progress. That's the main
Yeah.
thing, is the pace of change. And I'll give you an example. Um, you know, I've known one company for many years that's been working on AI tools. And I'm not going to describe it in any detail because I don't want to out them. But basically, they've been early leaders and created some amazing tools. And I just met another company who I think has created something that is a year ahead. And the second company that I met has only been doing it for 3 months, as opposed to 3 years,
Hmm.
because the tools are so different now that you can jump into the race and catch up immediately. And so what I see is I also see people commenting about the fact that, well, if you're thinking about starting a business in AI and you don't think it's possible now, start anyway, because in 2 months the tools will be there.
True, yeah. But that opens up the question for at least a few of our portfolio companies that have been building stuff for years.
Hmm.
And then they try to like push it back a little bit because market circumstances are a little bit bad. And then before they actually go live,
Yep.
then all of a sudden competition comes in and just simply takes over.
Hmm.
How do you like protect your portfolio companies for that?
It's very hard. I think ultimately, so in Web 2, venture capitalists talk a lot about moats. That seems to be the most
Yeah.
popular word. How do you build a defensible moat?
Or
Um,
TEM, that's another one.
exactly. And but the thing about the moat is just a euphemism for a monopoly. Really, what they want
Hmm.
is a monopoly, right? How are you going to build something that nobody can touch because you've got the sharpest elbows and you can keep everybody else out? Um, And then in Web3, the problem is that we have a philosophical aversion to this. Web3 is supposed to be about inclusion, about connectivity and interoperability, not about creating moats, because we're trying to solve the problem of all this siloed data and siloed customers and stuff. But I do believe that in Web3, there are moats to be had. And the moats exist not, in my opinion, in a piece of technology. So we thought for a while that maybe an L1 blockchain was a moat or a wallet was a moat, and there were attempts at recreating that Web2 thinking around particular pieces of tech. And then we've discovered, maybe it's all quite commoditized. Maybe liquidity is a moat, right? But I think brands are a moat. And if you think about it, what is a bank? A bank is an institution that you trust with your money, but do you trust them because of their tech or because they have really impenetrable buildings? At the end of the day, you just trust the brand because a bank is a
Mm.
brand. Otherwise, all banks are the same for the most part. Um, and so in Web3, I think our job, despite the irony of us being in trustless technology, our job is to build trust with our customers and to build brands. And that way, as we build those brands, the products and the tech themselves can evolve over time, but we can carry our customers along the journey with us because they are loyal to the brand.